then followed by the Q&A session, and it will be ended with the conclusion and closing. I would like to remind you again to fill your attendance form, share to the provided link in the Zoom chat room, which will be closed in 15 minutes from now. Next agenda is introduction of Academic Writing Center, which will be delivered by Mr. Thomas Kaufman. So, Mr. Thomas, the time is yours.
Okay, great. We're going to try standing, doing it the old-fashioned oration method. Yeah, so welcome. Thanks for having me. Hope your day is going well. And I'm not a participant, but that's what my background says. I'm part of the Academic Writing Center for this year and hopefully more. And so I'm a resource that you can utilize. And there are many other resources and many people who have worked hard on this Academic Writing Center, building it throughout the years. And so I get to be the one to share it with you and let you know what resources are available to you, and then the things that we can do together on your challenge, your journey of climbing that mountain, accomplishing that monumentous task of getting a research paper published, your first one, your first paper among many others, and lots of different collaboration. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about myself and who I am and the Writing Center that I'm now telling you about and supporting in a big way. All right. Okay, everything good? Can you see me in the screen? Okay, yeah, so here it is. ITS's Academic Writing Center. You can find it at the Global Kampong, Global Village. We are there to help you succeed. And there's a lot of different programs that are available to you and myself that I can, give lectures on certain topics, or Bat Malisa and some of the other counterparts can help you with consultations or boot camps or all these different things. So here's the website. We'll talk about Grammarly. We'll talk about writing. So before that, maybe you're wondering a little bit about me. And so here's me in Taiwan. I guess that was a year ago. Maybe I need a new picture with my batik and my blancon here in my new home in Surabaya. Yeah, so I'm an English language fellow, which is a teacher from the Regional English Language Office of the U.S. Embassy, Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. There are many people like us in this program who are sent all around the world to America's valued partners to share knowledge and help with various English solutions, whatever those might be. And in this case, I was first in a pool of teachers, and then I was matched here with your institution at ITS. And there are many other fellows like me around the world to, again, share knowledge, help exchange ideas and culture through this vehicle of English, and being cultural ambassadors, if you will. Okay, so my background, I'm not going to go too far, but yeah, I've I was born in America, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My family's now in Lakeland, Florida. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, they're doing better. Anybody football fans, American football, that is. Yeah, so I grew up there, had a job at Educational Testing Service where they do the TOEIC and TOEFL test. And that just felt not enough. You know, it was a great job. I loved being of service. But I just felt like there was more that I wanted from life. So I took a chance, went off to study in Taipei, Taiwan. Well, close to Taipei, another university. And my first job there was in the University Writing Center as a student, as a grad student. As a native speaker, I was supporting a writing center there. And then I went back to ETS in Taiwan, went to a bunch of schools, taught kids and adults, and then got my master's degree, started working in a university in Taipei, a technology, University of Technology, they call it, not nearly as prestigious as this one. And you know, they didn't really know how to find what my niche was with the students, and then they put me into a writing class, and then that was it. Yes, and ever since then I've been a writing teacher. Went to China, got more money. There were really hardworking students there. Then I was always kind of working with the Regional English Language Center, the RELOs, on different projects, research projects. Recently with Vietnam was building a test of English, and I helped to write questions and validate things with the local teachers. Anyway, after all that, here I am and working at the Writing Center. All right, there's my quick story. If you want to know more, come to the Writing Center. We can have a chat all about it. Okay, so where did this come from, right? The government initiatives for research publications was kind of the real impetus behind everything. All right, well, here's the need. How can we help? How can we scaffold this, give kind of the right ideas, the right support to help students be successful with all of the different publication needs and the support that's needed in terms of academic writing. Sometimes students might not even have a whole class on research writing. So there's a huge gap in coming from learning things, knowing English, and putting all of what you know into a research paper. That's a lot of skills in there. And so that's where the Writing Center tries to support all of the hardworking individuals and students and building capacity for that. Okay, so what kind of programs? There is a writing boot camp, which is like a full program with a variety of skills and courses, and it's in a sequence, and I'll tell more about that in just a moment. There's drop-in workshops where I or Bat Melissa right now will come to classes and give, you know, one class, one highlight, one topic, and help you out with whatever is determined. Custom workshops, I'm giving one tomorrow where I get to design everything and think about, you know, we put the title and then people come in and learn that. It'll be pre-writing, outlining, mind mapping, and things. And then the next one will be kind of revising next week. One-on-one consultations, here it is. The meat of it, coming in, having a chat, bringing your paper, talking about it. If you missed it, it's free. It's a resource for you. Take advantage of it. You're already have that at your disposal. Yeah, so the writing boot camp, here we have a fellow from last year. She very much helped build a lot of these programs.
Minister Faulkner, we can't see your presentation clearly. Could you make your presentation full screen, please?
Full screen. Oh, yeah, thanks for letting me know. I thought it was. Was there something in the chat? Oh. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's see. Stop sharing. It's like I'm stuck on different screens or something. Ah, okay, they let me out. Let's. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. So was it small? So yeah, we were just talking about the overview of the programs, me and my work, and some other things. Right. So boot camps. This would be a full program, standalone, looking at lots of other things, all of the skills. Well, not all of them, but a lot of skills, a full program each week with the certificate and, really giving you a crash course in writing. Okay, so then these drop-in custom workshops. I've been doing a lot of these recently, the past few weeks, coming in with classes, working with the lecturer and teaching various topics to different students. So a lot of summary, paraphrasing, and quotations. Other topics were sentence structure and just an overview of the research topic. So this is just a one-time, one-off thing. We have a bit of a catalog, if you will, of topics that you can choose from, and we'll go in and give you what you need for your group just once, right? Not so this would be a full boot camp, a full 7-course, different classes structure. This is a one-time thing. And one-on-one consultation. Here we are. So myself, or Bat Melissa right now, is going to help you with your paper. You bring your paper in, talk to us. We'll tell you what it's looking like, what it needs, what is missing, what is strong. Excuse me, what are the strengths and weaknesses, constructive feedback, and not translation, not proofreading. That's a whole other thing. I was just yesterday working with a professor in biology, and he had a team of students, and we looked at, that final touch before submitting a paper to the journal, looking for these small tweaks. and really getting the abstract in order, which is what it boiled down to. But yeah, a lot of different things come in for a one-on-one, whatever your needs are. Also resumes, cover letters. Someone asked about a motivation letter today. Sure, we can do all that. We've got backgrounds to help you, guide you with that. Look at, we'll have a talk about what you need, how your paper's doing. All right, so yeah, there's an Instagram page I recently discovered. It's cool to watch, my teaching, my achievements in action as it goes. And here is the website. There's a QR code there also, if you will. And I think I'm okay on time. Right, someone deleted a message to me. Hopefully my screen was there. And here it is. That's the center in all its glory. So thank you for having me. Hope everything went smooth enough, and look forward to seeing you in a bootcamp, drop-in workshop, one-on-one, or something else.
Thank you so much, Mr. Norman. It's very interesting information. So, guys, what are you waiting for? Come on, register immediately on this school program. Okay. Before moving to the next agenda, please allow me to elaborate about today's lecture. Today's lecture theme in R2SEP is about getting published and presentation skill, which will be delivered by our speaker, Dr. Engineering Muhammad Syafruddin, ESCOM from Sejong University, Seoul, South Korea, and Fana Krisma Silalahi, MSc from Chungnam National University, South Korea. The one conducting our today's session as our moderator is Mrs. Santi Fresdikauli, STMP from ITS. Let me introduce you to our moderator today. Our moderator today, Mrs. Santi Fresdikauli, STMP, is graduated from Universitas Diponegoro with Bachelor of Engineering Naval Architecture with Master degree in Ocean Engineering from ITB. Currently, she is a lecturer and researcher at the Department of Ocean Engineering, ITS. Her research interests are construction, safety, and risk assessment. Without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Mrs. Santi Fresdikauli as our moderator, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Novia, for being a good MC today. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Santi. Yes, I am from Ocean Engineering, 10 November Institute of Technology, or ITS. And I would like to introduce our speaker. And we have two speakers. The first one, the male one, Dr. Engineering Muhammad Syafruddin, Sarjana Komunikasi ya. Pardon if I made a mistake. And from Sejong University, Seoul, South Korea. The educational background was Doctor of Engineering in Industrial and System Engineering, Dongguk University, Seoul, Republic of Korea, and Bachelor of Computer Science in Department of Informatics, Universitas Islam Negeri UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Currently, he was Assistant Professor University, Seoul, Korea, and Assistant Professor, Department of Industrial and System Engineering, Dongguk University, Seoul, Korea. His research interests are industrial AI, machine learning and deep learning, big data, and Internet of Things. And move to the second speaker, the female one, Miss Fana Krisma Silalahi, Magister of Science, PhD candidate from Chungnam National University, South Korea. Annyeonghaseyo, Miss Fana. Actually, he's from Sumatra, right, Miss Fana? Because he was take undergraduate education as Bachelor of Science in Physics Education, University of HKBP Nom Mesen Indonesia, stand for Huria Kristen Batak Protestan, if I am not mistaken, and continue to higher education, a Master of Science in Department of Physics, Quantum Device Laboratory, National Chung Sing University, Taichung, Taiwan. And the last, the higher educational background, Doctor of Philosophy in Department of Physics, Quantum Optical Device Lab, and Photonics Lab, Chungnam National University, Daejeon, South Korea. So basically, Miss Fana is from Indonesia and moved to the Taiwan for taking master degree, and moved to South Korea for taking doctoral degree. Her research interest was single photon source and quantum computing and quantum optics and plasmonics device and laser technology and console multiphysics simulation. Currently, for academic and professional experiences, she take measurement team as PhD researcher for sample for Korea Institute of Science of Technology, or you may call it KISS, Daejeon in South Korea, and teaching assistant of quantum physics in Department of Physics, National Chun Sing University, Taichung, Taiwan. And not further ado, I call the two speakers, Mr. Shafruddin and Ms. Fana, will be present at 60 minutes. The spotlight, time, stage will be yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I say thank you very much to Institute Technology 10 November for inviting me. And I thank you so much also for all the team. And I really appreciate with the ITS, especially I think most of the graduate students in ITS, they are so lucky because in ITS, they have an academic writing center. It's so different. Like it compared to me when I study abroad, I should write my own paper without without getting any knowledge from other or from some writing center. And usually our professor just ask me, okay, write the paper. When the grammar and everything is not good, then that is your problem. You should solve by yourself. But in ITS, that's why I say you are so lucky. And thank you to Mr. Thomas for the explanation about the academic writing. And also, I'm so wondering that we ever have some experience in Taiwan also. I miss Taiwan. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I will share my PPT. Hello, okay. Okay, I will share my PPT. Share screen. Wait. So today the title that I want to share with you is about the presentation skill. I think most of the graduate students, they are familiar with the presentation, but the problem is, do we make an effective presentation or not? So as the moderator explained about myself, I introduced myself, so I don't need to introduce again, but the things that in this 2021, I just finished my Sigma International School on Laser in University of Warsaw and Poland. And for your information, I also active for the organization what we call Indonesian Researcher Association in South Korea, what we call with the Asosiasi Peneliti Indonesia in the Korea, or APIK. And I become a secretary and the treasurer. And then I also become one of the task force semiconductor team in this research association. So because I see some background is from the physics and engineering who are attended today. So I think we also open collaboration for the student who want to know more deeply about the semiconductor. And also I become a leader of Indonesian student in Chungnam National University. So if you would like to know more detail about my university, or maybe some information about exchange student or some scholarship, then you may contact me. And I would like introduce about my university first. So I'm from Department of Physics, Chungnam National University, where is located in Daejeon. Daejeon is one of the research city in Korea. So there are more than 200 research center in Daejeon. So if you are a science and engineering student, and if you want to become an exchange student, or if you want to pursue your PhD degree, then Daejeon is one of the best option for the science and engineering student. And we have a strong in applied physics like semiconductor and optics. And this is my lab group. I'm the only one woman in my group. So I'm working with all my senior, and I'm become the junior one also. So we are focused in this topic. And also I would like to ask you, if you have a collaboration with me, write a paper or discuss something about this, then later you may contact me directly. And there are words say that presentation is the killer skill that we take into the real world. And I really agree with that, because in my experience, when I pursue the master degree and PhD degree, when I get the scholarship, most of the tests in scholarship, they ask me to give a presentation. For example, like to present about myself, to present about my study plan, or to present about my future work. So that's why for graduate student, presentation skill is one of the important things that you should know and you should have. So I would like to share in 2015, I get 5 full scholarship from 5 different university in Taiwan. Still, I get this all scholarship because of I present myself and my future work also. And then in 2017, I get 1 full scholarship from university in Taiwan also, and 1 full scholarship from Ministry of Education in Taiwan. And I get now I get 1 full scholarship from the Korean government scholarship for PhD program. And during my PhD degree, I get another scholarship also. So totally now I get 3 scholarship for my PhD degree. So one of them that is a Brain Korea 21 scholarship program, and I get my professor scholarship also. So all this journey based on the presentation also, to present about myself, my work, and my research. So that's why presentation skill is really important for us. And the outline that I will share today is I will explain the simple meaning of the presentation and the presentation aspect, and why we need a presentation skill, especially for the graduate student. And then the 3 key steps making an effective presentation. And the most important for the graduate student is how to present an academic research poster and how to prepare an oral research presentation. So I will start. The simple meaning of the presentation is, wait, I want to minimize this. Okay. The simple meaning of the presentation is a means of communication that can be adapted to the various speaking situations, such as talking to the group, addressing a meeting, or briefing a team. And presentation are typically demonstration, introduction, lecture, speech meant to inform, to persuade, inspire, motivate, or present a new idea or our product. Usually for the graduate student, we will present about ourselves or about our research work. So, and there is a presentation aspect. I think most of you know this. This is the basic information about the presentation. First, we should have a presenter, someone who communicate with the audience, and the audience who receive the presenter message. And the message is something that you want to deliver to your audience. And the reaction is the success of the presentation will depend your audience reaction, whether they understand your message or not. And also one of the important is the method. How will you present your message? And during the presentation, there are many obstacles, there are many factors that can influence your effectiveness or your presentation. And why we need the presentation skill? We want to properly structure our presentation. So before you publish the paper, you should practice more like how to present your work. And of course, we want to practice to overcome our nervousness. Even though I attended several conferences, but still, whenever I have a presentation, I still overcome this nervousness. And then to develop your powerful body language. For example, do you want to persuade another people like to choose you, or you want to present your new idea or new product? Then you should study and you should learn like how to use your body language. And then to deliver an effective presentation, of course, and to learn what not to do during the presentation. And the last is you need to design and use the visual aid effectively in your presentation. And there are many causes of the presentation, which is presentation is not effective. First, because we fail to motivate our audience, and we make a confusing structure, and we make the designs very poor. That's why it's not interesting for your audience. So there are 3 case steps that I want to share about you, but actually I will focus to the poster presentation and oral presentation. So this is just a basic information about the presentation. So first step, you should make a planning. What is the purpose of your presentation? You want to explain yourself? You want to give a lecture, or you want to give motivation to another people? You must know what is your purpose of presentation, and then who will be your audience. For example, when I get this invitation, then I know that most of the audience in this Zoom meeting, in this event, is a graduate student. So I think that for the graduate student, poster presentation and oral presentation is most important than the other. And then what are you trying to achieve through this presentation? So you should make or you should think about this planning in your presentation. And next, about the preparation. First, there is a subject of the presentation. Yeah. For example, now on in this presentation, the ITS give me the subject is how to make a presentation skill for the graduate student in ITS. So through this subject, then I explain step by step what is the something that I want to share. And then the place. When you have a presentation in offline, then you must know about the availability equipment for your presentation. For example, is there any laptop in that place, or no, or you should bring your laptop. And then if you are making online, then you should know whether it's from Zoom, Skype, or from Google Meets. And you need to organize the point. You should know what you say in the beginning, what you will deal in the middle, and then how you will give the conclusion. And you should know about the time and the length of talk. Usually in international conference, for the oral presentation, especially for the master or grade PhD student, it's the time for presentation is like 10 minutes. So when you know the time, then you can decide it how many key point that you want to share in your presentation. And also you can ask is there any information that you need to provide? For example, this Monday, I give a presentation how to get a Korean government scholarship for one of the biggest consultant education in Indonesia. So because I know that they want to get the what kind of scholarship in South Korea, then they give me some information. Oh, I should explain about this. So it's better like you can ask the organizer whether you need to provide any information or not. And then the delivery. You need to decide your presentation method. For example, what kind of the visual aids that you have, what kind of the sound system or the light, or do you need to copy your slide or just share your screen like what I just did before. And also you should ask how to ask question. The audience will ask the question after the presentation or during the presentation. And I also do the same thing before we start this meeting. I also ask Miss Santi, how can I get the answer the question? And to select your main point. For the 10 to 15-minute presentation, you can put 3 key points. And for the 30-minute presentation, then you can write 6 key points. And then for 45-minute presentation, you can write 8 key points or more. So with this direction, then you will know that how many key points and then how to put your the main important in your presentation. And then the delivery. I think most of you familiar with this structure, like introduction in the beginning, main content in the middle, and conclusion in the end. Yeah. But the problem is sometimes we confuse what I should write in the main content. Do I need to write this thing? Which one is more important? Then we need practice. That's why we should learn the presentation skill. And also the body language, especially when we have a offline presentation, then it's better to make eye contact, and then you should make your voice shouldn't be too fast and not too slow. And if there's any important thing, then you need to repeat again. And for the design and the visual aid, you can use the PowerPoint, and some of people they will use Canva, but it's depend to you. You can make your PPT is simple, short, but they include the important point for your work or for your research. And I don't suggest to use the note function in PowerPoint, because when you have a note function, when you have a presentation, then you will read that note. It makes you not concentrate with the presentation. So if you want to get the PPT template, I think there are many sources that you can get in internet. And then the things that most important for the graduate student is about how to present an academic research poster. The things that you should know about the poster is the poster guideline. So when you want to attend some conference or some event, then you should ask them and you should find the information about the poster guideline. For example, they ask you to make a poster is 100 centimeter width and 100 centimeter high. Then from this format, from this guideline, you make like you divide it part by part of your research poster. And then for the format, it's like a common presentation. It's just introduction, methods, result, and conclusion. But the things that I want to share you today is how to make the research poster, because I have been doing this kind of research poster so many times to explain about myself, to explain about my research, and to explain about my future work. For example, in here, we can put our title like here, this example, you make in the center, and then in the edge of this title, you can make the affiliation symbol. So I suggest you to make 2 symbols. If you imagine, if you just make 1 symbol, then I feel like there is unbalanced structure in your poster. So it's better you put 2 symbols, maybe your university or maybe your lab group or something that related to you. And after you write the title, then you write your name and affiliation. Usually, there are some conference who will ask you to write, to bold your name or to make the underline in your name as a presenter. That's why I ask you when you want to make poster presentation, please read carefully about the poster guideline. And then you write your collaboration. And for the format, the introduction, you can explain about the background of your research or the background of your work. Especially for science and engineering student, you can write the motivation of your research. For example, you can give some question as I did, like why perovskite quantum dot, yeah, and then you explain, oh, there are many if you use this kind of sample, or there are many advantage if you use this kind of method. So you need to explain the background of your work or your research. This is the introduction, the motivation part. And then for the method part, for science engineering student also, for example, you can put your samples, or for engineering, usually there are many fabrication process. Then you can put your fabrication process, or you can put the measurement process also. And in this time, I present this poster when I'm in Poland, in that school, because most of the student they know laser, and they know how to make a measurement. So when I know the background of audience, then I think, okay, the measurement part for this poster is not necessary, because most of the audience, they know about the measurement part. So that's why that is the advantage when you check your audience. And then put this kind of thing in the method part. And for the result, you can put 3 or 4 main point. For example, in this work, I put 3 main point. So 3 result, like this is the first result that I get, this is the second result, and this is the third result. And then you put one by one. You should know, when we present a poster, we put everything, our idea, in the picture. So that means picture will tell the story. So I suggest you do not put many text in the poster. Just put the picture that you think important, and then you must consider about the quality of the picture also, because sometimes, because usually the size of the poster is very big, if our picture is not in good quality, then maybe there is something problem that when you print your poster. So you should consider, do not put many text in your poster, and then choose the interesting picture that you think important in your work. And in the conclusion, you can write 2 or 3 conclusion. So you don't need to write everything like you write the many text in your conclusion. No. And also in conclusion, if you have something that result in the number, then you should write that number. For example, when you say, oh, my work, my method, my research is powerful than another researcher, but you should write how powerful is it. You cannot just say, oh, my work is better than the other, but we don't know how much better is it. So that's why in conclusion, you need to write some number to explain that your work is better than the other. And also in the conclusion part, you can write what kind of the promising work from your research, so that people interest with your work. Because one of the advantage that you can get when you present something, especially when you present a poster, is you want to get collaboration. So when people get interesting with your work, then people want to have a collaboration with you. And also in conclusion part, you can write the future work. What do you want to do? For example, if there are if there are people who have the similar project with you, similar research, and they want to do also similar like you, then they will give you invitation for collaboration. So that's why giving a poster is not just explain about yourself, it's not just boosting about yourself, but also to get the collaboration. Because in my experience also, I have our collaboration through the seminar, through the conference. So that's why I suggest you to make this kind of things if you want to present a academic or research poster. And of course, when you have the presentation, please prepare, like bring water. because when you present a poster, people one by one will coming to you. So it will make your voice, or maybe you feel exhausted. So that's why I suggest you always bring water, and then come early, so that you have much time to put your poster in the poster stage. And you must know that when you give a presentation, don't stand in front of your poster, or don't block your poster, so people can see clearly or your poster. So it's better for you to stand to the left or to the right of your poster. And of course, you should be welcome. When I attended the international conference, most of people say that Indonesian is very welcoming, because whenever people ask and come to me, I will smile and then I will introduce myself. Yeah. And then try to engage with your audience. Maybe you can ask some question when people comes to you, and also you ask them, oh, where are you from? What kind of research do you have? Oh, when you heard something, oh, I'm interested with your research. May I know more detail? Then you need to engage with your audience, with your with the people who come to approach you. And then you should give a vital information. For example, like, what is your research topic? Okay, you can tell, oh, in my lab, we have this kind of research topic. Maybe one of them is similar with you, or if you are interested, then you may contact me, and then we have a collaboration. And then what you have found in your research. So what kind of the main point, and then what kind of the significant topic that you have in your research, and why it's important. As I mentioned, for example, oh, I'm working in the quantum computing. Why quantum computing is so important? Yeah, because this blah, 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 blah. Then when people interested in you, then they will try to find you again. And then during your during your presentation, you can invite some question to your audience. For example, have you ever heard something like this? Do you know about this topic? Yeah, you can try to give some question to your audience, so that you can engage with your audience. As I tell you, one of the purpose of the poster is we use a picture to tell our story. So you don't need to write many text in your poster. Just put the picture. Will tell the story of your research or of your work. And during the presentation, during the conference, and during the organization or something, then sometimes you need to give your contact information to contact each other. So don't forget to bring your contact information, and of course, dress well. Yeah, because that is the formal situation. So we should dress well. So this is the things that you should know if you want to give a research poster presentation. And the next example I will give to you is how to prepare an oral research presentation. First, as in research poster, you should know about the size, so that you design your poster. But in oral presentation, first something that you should know is timing. Like, find out how long your talk should be. For example, if we have only 10 minutes for the presentation, then we can use 3 or 4 key points in our presentation. And then still try to find what kind of the audience that you have. For example, as I mentioned, this year, when I attended a presentation, when I know who is the audience, then I know that which part of my work that I should put in the presentation. And then for the format, of course, first you can give your title in here, and then please double check again about the guideline of the presentation. For example, like in some conference, they ask you to bold your name or to make underline the people who give the presentation. And then if you have enough time, then you can explain yourself, like, oh, this is my background, I'm from here, and I'm working with this professor. Or you can explain also I have a collaboration with this Institute of Quantum System, and I also have a collaboration with the professor, one of professor in Advanced Photonic Research Institute. If you have time, but sometime if you just have a 10 minutes time for your presentation, you don't need to explain more about yourself. Still, for the content, giving a talk is a great opportunity to think about the big picture rather than focusing on details. As we know, when you're doing maybe some experiment, you're doing something like in your research, or for social student, when you get the data, maybe through interview, or there are many methods, you don't need to explain on detail in your work, because one of the reason is because later you want to publish your work, so it's not good like to give details about our work. And also, instead of giving in details, then you should think about the big picture of your research, which make people interested in your research. And for the organization is similar like in the poster presentation. You can introduce yourself first, and then you introduce about the background of your research. For example, in my PPT, in my PowerPoint, first I make a question, why need a single photon source? And then from this question, then I will explain, oh, I need a single photon source for the quantum computing. So because of this, I need there are many steps to get this single photon source for the quantum computing. Then I conduct this kind of method to get this idea. And also, yeah, there are some questions that you can ask. I ask also why perovskite quantum dot, and I explain, oh, there are advantage if I use this method, if I use this sample. Then you can tell your audience. And also, you can take the picture or the data from another paper, but don't forget, when you present in PPT, you should write the reference where you are taking the picture. And the most important also, when you think something important in your research, then you can make the highlight with the different color. For example, like in my case, because the single photon is very, very important in my research, so that's why I make a different color, so people will get attracted with your PPT. And the same case also, when your method, when your measurement part is very important for you, then you can highlight in the different color, or you can make the size bigger than the other words also. And then you should know about the how to describe your research. So you need to practice to make this one. Maybe you can ask your friend who are also a graduate student. You give them your PPT, and you can ask them, is there anything that you want to know, or is there anything that you don't understand when you see this PPT? Then you will get some suggestion from them. So it will help you to describe how to explain your research. And then explain what you found and then what it means. For example, when you found something, then you tell them, oh, this is the meaning is blah 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 blah. So you should try to make this kind of things, like to describe your research and then explain what you found, and then give a conclusion with the summary of your main points. Sometimes people think that giving conclusion, okay, I just write the conclusion, but sometimes it's not easy even give the conclusion. You should know which kind of the important things in your work, in your research. And also, don't present too much information on the slide. You don't need to write many text in your PPT. Just put the picture and then you explain well to them, then it will become effective presentation. And there's a template that will help you to give a presentation for the oral research presentation. This is maybe later you can use this template. For example, for the introduction, you will say, hello, my name is Vanna. I'm fourth year student at Chungnam National University, Daejeon. I'm majoring in physics, and I'm going to talk to you today about my research on. Then you will explain, okay, I'm doing this kind of research, or maybe if you have time, you can tell what kind of research topic that you have in your group also. And then you can tell them, oh, I had opportunity to join with Professor Lee. Yeah, you can mention about your professor or about your advisor also. Where the research is focused on, for example, like quantum computing, then you tell them like what kind of research that you have in your research group, or what kind of work that you have in your group. And then you tell them, okay, I want to find out if you still confused to make the main point in your research, because there are many data that you have, then try to make a research question. For example, like, why do you need this kind of things? Why do you think this data is important for you? Then try to find the answer. And then when you think this is important, then decide it. That is become your main point. For example, also in the method, as I tell you last time, because my audience is a student who understand laser and measurement very well, then in my poster I don't put the measurement part. But last month I just present this PowerPoint, and for this work I get best oral presentation award for this presentation. So because my audience is the student who are from physics, so they are not all of them is familiar with the measurement, then I put the measurement part. That's why I tell you, why do you need to know your audience background? Because you can decide it whether this kind of information is important or not. And then you can tell them, okay, I want to find out this blah blah blah. You make your research question, and you say that, oh, I thought the best way to answer the question would be by. Then you explain your method, what kind of method that you use, and what kind of the maybe how you taking the data. Then you can explain well. And then for the result, you can tell them, here's what I did. For example, in my case, I did this kind of measurement, this kind of sample, and then here what I found. First, I found, oh, the stability of my sample is really good compared to another. For example, in this work, my stability is better than the other work. That means I make something significant. I make something interesting in my work. And then you tell them, oh, I set out to answer the research question that you want to find out before. Then after that, you can give them the answer. Oh, I get this one, I get this kind of things. So in the beginning, when I start this research, I have some question about this research, but now after doing some experiment, doing some measurement or taking some data, then I get to answer this research question. And then you can tell them like, oh, I set out this answer, this research question, and then by discovering this research question, then you give them the statement of the result. Okay, I get this kind of result, and this is interesting because you give them the reason. That's why I tell you, when we present something, we should practice how to make step by step. And then the easiest way for me, as my experience, is make the research question. When you make the research question and then try to answer, and then when you have the question, when you have the answer, then decide it whether is which one is more important in your research. Okay. And then if you still have time, then you can say that to them, oh, okay, my work, my research is supported by this funding or this award. And still, if you have time, you can tell them about your group, what you are doing in your group. And for the conclusion, the conclusion is similar like in the poster. You can make 2 or 3 conclusion, and do not forget, if you get some number in your result, then you should put the conclusion based on the number also. I think that's all for me as my experience. So I think I hope that you can learn something when you present your poster or your oral presentation, especially for you, for the graduate student. If you have something that you want to present, then please practice to make effective presentation. Thank you. And that's all my presentation. And also I want to tell you, all of you, especially for the graduate student, now on I open collaboration with another also. So if you are interested in my topic research, then you may contact me, or if you have any idea want to write paper, then please contact me. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Then
you so much, Ms. Finer. Hold on for the question, because the question we have 30 minutes session, and after this we have Mr. Shafruddin as a second speaker. Please have your seat, be nice, the audience, because Mr. Shafruddin will be talked about how to getting published. Please, Mr. Shafruddin, the stage and the spotlight is yours.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. It's such an honor to be here, and thank you for ITS for inviting me. So, yeah, my name is Muhammad Shafruddin, as already introduced by Miss Santi. And today I'm going to talk about getting published. So as you have learned from Miss Fana, so Miss Fana already described everything regarding research as well as presenting the papers. So now I'm going to focus on how to basically describe the papers and step by step, and why we need to get published. So please allow me to share my PPT. I guess I couldn't share the PPT. Yeah. Yeah, Miss Santi, could you please help me? I guess host disable
Yeah.
participant. Yeah.
Done.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So
Okay, we can see
okay. All right.
very
So
clearly.
yeah. All right. So yeah. Today's talk is going about getting published. So as you might know that, yeah, my name is Muhammad Syafruddin. I did my bachelor degree from Indonesia, from Yogyakarta specifically. And I did my master and PhD combined program at Donggu University in 2019. And also for your information, in 2019 August, I'm the only Indonesian diaspora from Korea who was invited and participated in this World Class Scholar Symposium, or SCKD. Yeah. And after my graduation, I got the chance to join the Donggu University as assistant professor from 2019 until 2022. And right starting from this March 2022, I joined to another university. It's called Sejong University in AI department. And I'm talking about the getting published as a guest editor in many journals, such as Sustainability, Computers, Big Data, and Cognitive Computing. And I'm also actively participate in as a reviewer of international peer review journal, as well as a conference. As you might see from my PPT here, actually my paper is not much. So I just have a 25 paper indexed by Web of Science. And I did a lot of reviewing in this case. So I read a lot of papers, and I give comments and suggestions, as well as I read a lot of review from another reviewer. And I also did some editors. So I did 5 papers right now. My research area is related with AI, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, and informatics. And if you happen to have this kind of interest, you may contact me. So yeah, today's agenda, we are going to talk about how we can getting published. The first is we need to find why we need to get published. And then we are going to learn how the publication choice and submission preparation, as well as what is the peer review. So yeah, the first thing we need to know that in order for us to get published, there are two reasons, right? The first reason is very general. We want to share our knowledge. For example, we found something through our experience or experiments, and we want to enhance or get some prestige, right? And we want to improve our quality, right? And then we want to spread the idea. The last thing is we want to archive our knowledge. And the most important is maybe the personal one. So this is based on my personal experience. So as you know that if we get the PhD or get the enroll in the graduate program, we need to have graduations. And one of the requirement for the graduation is we need to have a publication, right? The publication can be in conference or in journal. So this will be the personal reason. And after the graduation, you might want to join in university or other company. Of course, the publication also can be used for a promotion. And lastly is for the work contract or appointment. So the first thing you need to know that you have to find your why, right? Why we need to get published. After that, then you can finish all of the step before getting published. And now regarding the choice, right? So as you might already know that in order for us to publish our research or work, we have an option, we have an outlet. So the first option, you can publish your work into conference, which is basically conference is for preliminary finding of ongoing research. So this is not full research, this is just a preliminary finding. And if you want to publish your research in journal, those research should be fully developed. So it's complete research. You have to start from scratch until the end. Of course, both of the outlet will be peer review and check for any plagiarism before publication. And the difference between conference and journal, as already mentioned by Ms. Fana, in conference, you need to present your papers. You can present based on the using a poster or using a PowerPoint, like presenting in front of the audience. And then let's how we can decide whether we want to publish in journal or conference. The first thing to note is that in journal, we need to check who will read our papers, the reader of those journal, and then what they will publish. I mean, the scope of the journal and what type of articles or research paper that they accept. For example, we have review papers, research paper, or just a short communication, etc. And of course, we need to check also the index of those journal, right? And it's also implied for the conference, whether we want to publish our work into Scopus journal or into a Web of Science journal. So if you want to publish in Scopus journal, you need to check from the Scopus website whether those journal is actually indexed or no. Right? And the last thing is, did you ever read or cite a paper from this outlet, from this publication? You have to think about that one. And I should mention that, yeah, you have to be aware that there are a lot of predatory journal or conference, and please don't submit any work into those outlet. Right? So there is a very usable website which is thinkchecksubmit.org. So you need to check whether this outlet is credible, and then after that, if you found that this is a credible journal or credible publisher, you can submit your work. And in terms of conference, of course, the conference, you need to find the conference that match with your research, right? And then you have to know also the schedule. For example, whether you will be able to attend the conference to present your paper or no, right? And there are two options in publication. as maybe some of you already familiar with this, there is an open and subscription access. So the traditional one usually have a subscription access, and the new option is open access. So there are different between these two. The first thing is in open access, your research will be freely available for the reader, right? And the copyright will be belong to you, the author. And but yeah, the you need to pay. You need to pay for the publication fee if you want to publish in open access journal. Of course, you can pay by your own money or by your funding. Yeah. And for the subscription access, a fee need to be paid by the reader. So your research is not totally available to the reader. The reader need to pay. Instead, it can be paid by the reader itself or by the institution that subscribe to those journal. And the copyright will be belong to the publisher if you want to publish in subscription access. And the good thing is you don't need to pay, right? The author do not need to pay any fee for the accepted paper. But of course, there is some reason why we need to consider open access. The first is greater visibility. If you want to publish your research, and your research will be available for anyone in the world. And by exposing your research to greater audience, it will increase your visibility, right? It will increase your presence in this society. And mostly in open access journal, they give us the rapid review process. So possibly in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, your paper will get the decision, whether the decision will be major, minor, or accepted. Yeah. And the submission to publication will be very short, usually in open access. And if you happen to have a funding, usually the funder also have some mandates, or your institution also have some mandate that you have to publish your paper or research in open access journal. And then after that, after knowing the type of the open access or subscription base, the next thing is you need to pick your target, right? You need to pick which outlet that you are going to publish. So you have to select one target for each publication, because one research paper could not be submitted in other journal, right? It should have just submitted into one journal or one conference. And simultaneously, submission is unethical, so you shouldn't do that. Yeah. And you can start looking the outlet or the publication place by the citation in your reference, right? If you read interesting paper, you can check that specific journal or conference. And the third thing is you can ask your supervisor or your lecturer in your university, for example, in ITS, right? Or other college that has experience in this publishing method. And the next thing is you need to read the aim and scope of your potential targets, so that your article is basically matched with their aim and scope. Because if your article is out of the scope, usually you will get the directly rejection. So your paper will be rejected quickly. And the last thing, you have to read the guideline, as Ms. Fana said, that you have to read the guideline, the author guideline for each outlet that you are going to publish. And now after learning everything, why we need to publish and the publication choice, now let's move on to the submission preparation. Of course, this is the typical paper structures that I'm sure that most of you already familiar with, right? You have to have a title for your research, and you have to have an abstract, introduction, and material method, result and discussion, conclusion, and lastly is reference. Of course, you need to put also the author and affiliation. So regarding the abstract should have a very concise summary of your research and slightly research obtained and the conclusion. The conclusion, just one sentence of the conclusion. And sometimes also you can put the expected implication, right? So for example, if you research in healthcare area, right, you have to mention in your abstract that this healthcare area is very important, and then what is your method, and then what is your research, and then what is the expected implication or application for this research, for your research, right? And typically the abstract is very short. It can be only 250 words or less, and we can use some keyword or index term in this case. And in the introduction, next to the second structure, which is introduction. So in the introduction is basically a description of problem being researched. So you can follow this structure, but of course you can mix with other resources. So generally speaking, the introduction will start from general term, right? General information. For example, if it is in healthcare, you can say that the healthcare area is important. And if your paper is regarding specific disease, you can say that this disease is very important, and you can put some statistic. For example, in diabetes research, the diabetes is one of the deadly disease in the world, and then you can mention how many percent of diabetic patient will be dead because of this. And then you can mention some yeah, it's including the importance of the research, right? In the importance of the research, you can mention some statistic or some fact from credible sources or reference. And then move on to the next step. You can mention the prior studies, right? Prior studies in your research. For example, if it is in diabetes research, you can mention that previous study already apply this method in diabetes prediction, for example. And then after that, you can come up with your research hypothesis, or as Ms. Fana said, that you can come up with a research question. So what you are going to do based on the prior study, and then you can fill up the gap between your research and previous study. And you can mention slightly your proposed methodology or method and some expected result. And sometimes maybe in engineering or in other area, in my case, usually I also give some summary of contribution, because most of the reviewer usually also ask that one. So you can give point by point what is the contribution of your research in this case. And lastly, this is not very important, but sometimes also you can put the how the paper is organized. For example, in section 2 we describe the related study in blah 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 like that. And section 3 is methodology. Section 4 will be present the result and discussion, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And the next structure is material and method, or sometimes you can call it also methodology section or other thing in other area. But mostly in this material and method, you describe what data did you have. So suppose you are a cooker. I mean, pretend that you are describing how to make home bread. First, you need to describe the recipe, right? The recipe, and then you can describe the step by step how you proceed your research, or how you proceed how to make this home bread. And then, of course, your methodology should be presented in clearly, because if your target is journal, you have to present everything in detail. And in this case, you can use some figures, flowcharts, or algorithm if it is in engineering. And you can provide some tables to describe the data that you have, or the experimental setting that you have. And the next structure is result and discussion. So in this result and discussion, you present your result, right? After presenting the methodology, how you did your research, and what is the setting in your research, or what kind of data do you have in your research. Now you have to present your result, right? What funding did you achieve from this research? And in this case, you have to demonstrate that you solve the problem that you mentioned in the introduction. And then you have to explain why also your research offers some solution as compared to previous study. And in this result and discussion, you can also describe or present some discussion about the implication of your research. If in your research is in the area of engineering or in healthcare, you can also come up with some expected result or expected implication, right? For example, in diabetes research, you can say that this diabetes could impact on improving the diabetes diagnosis by providing computer-based application, something like that. And you can also summarize the result and put some tables and figures. And lastly is conclusion. So in the conclusion, of course, as mentioned by Ms. Fana, you have to point out what is the main point or what is the main funding in your research, right? You can use point by point. And of course, it should state that your problem that has been said in introduction is actually solved by showing in result and discussion and stating once again in the conclusion section. And sometimes also you have to describe the limitation of your research, right? Your research shouldn't be cover everything. I mean, of course, there will be some limitation. So you have to mention those limitation in the conclusion section and some suggestion or some feature work also in conclusion. Here, I would like to add more regarding the editorial work. So before submitting your article or paper, you have to, of course, read the guideline, the use author guideline from the target publication. And you have to agree for all the author included in your author. So who will be in charge of corresponding author? Because the corresponding author will be in charge of editorial work. So this corresponding author will submit your paper and do some corresponding with the editor of the target journal. And you have to prepare several file such as your manuscript, your research paper, and sometimes also you need to provide the cover letters and any supplementary data. And one suggestion that I have, I like to suggest for you is that please get the R2SEP ID or Open Researcher and Contribution ID. So because as you know that our name can be same with other researchers, right? So for example, myself, when you type Muhammad Shafruddin in Google, you will find many Muhammad Shafruddin. So when you get this R2SEP ID, your article will be tied with this ID, even though your name with other people same, but your research will be tied with this ID, so that this will be your chance your chance to actually show that this is your paper and this is my R2SEP ID. And last thing is about the peer review. So maybe some of you already know what is the peer review, but let's recall again. So peer review is actually critical assessment of research article submitted to publication in conference or in journal, and it should be assessed or should be reviewed by experts who are not part of the editorial staff. So once you submitted your paper into journal or conference, usually the editorial staff will invite expert, maybe 2 or 3 person, and usually this expert is having a PhD degree and also having the related work in your paper. For example, if your paper is related with healthcare, the editorial staff will invite expert also in those area, in those healthcare. And to target or to purpose of this peer review is as a filter, because most of the paper submitted should be filtered and also should be improved. And this is the general step in the peer review process or editor process. So usually the first step, you submit the paper and it will be pre-checked by the editorial staff. And if it is past the pre-check step, it will send to the peer review. So in the peer review, it will invite 2 or 3 or more expert, and this expert will read your paper or research paper carefully and give some feedback, comment, or suggestion. If the comment and suggestion is for major revision, the editor or case editor will decide whether this paper will go to minor or major. And if the reviewer suggests for rejection, it will also decided by the editor whether it will be rejected or not. And of course, if you have a minor and major revision, usually you have a chance to revise your research paper based on the comments of editors as well as a reviewer. And if it is accepted, then congratulations, you have done all of the getting published process, and congratulations. And before I end my presentation, I have some experience in reviewer. So let me explain what our editors and reviewer are looking for the research paper. So I guess this is very important. So the first thing is you have to know that the scope of your article is appropriate, right? And your research is well designed and executed, and your data is well reported and analyzed, and your idea is expressed clearly, concisely, and logically, and all of the ethical and journal requirements are met. And then is your research contribution is significant to the field, and lastly is the novelty, which is this original material distinct from previous publication. So in the novelty part, that's why as I suggest you, if you can pinpoint your contribution in introduction section, I mean at the end of the introduction session, the reviewer and the editor can directly see that, okay, then your research is very novel and you can have some contribution to the field, and then you can pass the review and so on and so forth. Yeah. And the characteristics that editor and reviewer focus on is, of course, same with the content, whether your content is appropriate and in scope with the journal, whether your paper is written clearly and address important as well as a new problem. For example, is your paper is extension of previously published work or original one, and it will also check whether your method and description is valid, and whether your illustration, figures, tables are supported by data or by text, and whether your reference is current and relevant to the subject research that you are currently working. And there are some reasons why editors and reviewers reject papers. So I guess this is also very important to know. So when you got the rejection, usually they give some detailed comments, right? So you can read the comments and make some revision and submit it somewhere else. So possible reason is like the content of your research is not good fit for the publication. I mean, not good fit for those journal. So don't worry too much about it. So you can find another publication, for example. And if it is second reason, which is serious scientific flaws, in this case you have to make it serious. I mean, you have to improve your research carefully if it is because of serious scientific flaw. And if it is because of poorly written, so because as you know that most of us are not from English native speaker, so as for me, I'm also have some mistake in writing or in speaking. And if it does not address a big enough problem, so in this case you need to try to modify your research and try to take a big picture of your research and represent what is the big issue in your research. I mean, what is the big problem that you are going to address in this research work. And sometimes also the paper got rejected because this paper is actually already published somewhere else. So I guess I noticed also some of the colleagues in Indonesia, they publish the paper in Indonesian language, and then they just translate those English Indonesian language paper into English. So I guess those kind of this kind of thing is unethical, because you have already published in Indonesian language, but you just translate those in English. So I guess I suggest you not doing that thing. And this will be one of the reasons that your paper will be rejected. And the quality of the paper is not good for the journal. Of course, the journal has some criteria, and if you publish in top journal, they will have a very strict criteria and a requirement. And if your criteria and requirement did not pass their criteria, it will get rejection. And yeah, the paper does not make a strong case to convince the reviewer. And lastly, poor structure and presentation. So as Miss Fana already explained, I guess she is a master of presentation skill. So you can follow her advice and try to structure your paper as interesting and as detailed as possible. So yeah, I guess that is my part of getting published. And if you do have any question regarding this, you can contact me via email. And yeah, as you know that I'm currently as a guest editor in MTPI Juna, and MTPI is open access. So if you have any funding, you can submit through my special issue. And I also open for any collaboration if you have any any research paper going on and want to have some advice from the point of view of reviewer, because as you know that I have reviewed around 200 papers, and yeah, I have this knowledge how the paper can be published in journal. Yeah, so I guess that's all, and I will return the time to Miss Santi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Pak Syafruddin. Can anyone give a reaction like love or love or applause for what speaker? Okay, thank you so much. And now let's move on to question and answer session. Apparently, we have in-tipping link, so audience will fill the form. And the first questioner about, does the presentation design matter? Because sometimes some people judge from its cover. The question is from Neni Wahyuning Dia, and what speaker can answer that? Please. Miss Fana or Mr. Syafruddin?
Okay.
I will, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah. That's why I tell in my presentation before, we should learn how to make the design also. There are many source that we can get in internet, like in the website. Just download the PPT template, or just if you are familiar with the Canva or another like Photoshop, then you need to make first. You need to make your design is very interesting. And as I tell you, do not put so many words in your for example, like in your PPT or in your poster, because you can imagine in the conference or some in the event, there are many posters that you want to know and you want to see, right? But when you see one of the poster, like, or one of the presentation which include, there are so many texts, and of course, as a human, I'm so lazy to read so many texts. So when the design is good and when the color is attracted me, then I will not judge the presentation from the cover. So that's why we should learn how to design our presentation also. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Warna. Is anything else from Mr. Syafruddin?
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question? I was yeah.
Okay, is
Exited
design for presentation matters? Because sometimes people judge from its cover.
All right. So yeah, in terms of design of papers, yeah. So in this case, is the poster papers or PPT? Sorry, yeah.
PPT.
Oh, PPT. Okay. So yeah, I guess I agree with the suggestion from Miss Fana, because I'm not the expert in presentation skill, as you know. Yeah, but if you ask me about the papers, how you can design the papers, so possibly if you can design a very eye-catching image, I mean, you can use the design tools such as Photoshop or Canva, and your design should be high quality if it is in research paper. But if it is in PowerPoint, yeah, you can present your figure using some yeah, eye-catching image, for example, yeah, to attract the attention.
Okay, thank you. The answer, Mr. Shafruddin. And the next question is about fee a journal. Journal fee. Can anyone tell the audience about the journal fee? Miss Fana, maybe?
About the journal fee, I think Mr. Safridin he know detail because
Okay.
until now I also struggle like to publish my paper, especially if the journal is high rank. Of course, we should have a very high rank data, and also the price it should be expensive. Usually, like when I publish
Expensive,
my paper, usually the we pay is around 3 million or to 4 million Korean thousand won. That means it's related to 30 million or 40 million IDR.
Hmm.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
in my work. So it's depend to your
Mm.
professor. It's depend to your group also. So which paper that you want to publish, and as the Mr. Safruddin said, there are free publishing also if the you don't need to pay the fee. And back to you, it's back to you. You want to publish for free or you want to pay. So, but for the I think for the publication in Indonesia, I think the price is more cheaper than in the international journal. And you should think about the whether the journal is SCI or SCCI also. Yeah. And for the price and detail, I think Mr. Safruddin can answer.
All right, yeah. May I answer the question? Yeah. Okay. So regarding the publication fee, or yeah, as my experience, like I did my PhD here, and usually publication fee is paid by the funder. I mean, the project. So in Korea, usually it's paid by a project. So as a researcher or as a student, we don't need to pay by our money. So that will be the advantage of getting a PhD or master degree in Korea. So usually you don't need to pay. But for those of you who are currently in Indonesia, publication fee is really high. I mean, because yeah, most of the international journal, like maybe like around 1,000 USD until 3,000 USD. So depending on the journal that you want to submit for the open access. But of course, if you want to, yeah, if you have a funding, I mean, if you have a project that can support the publication fee, I will suggest you to choose the open access journal. Why is that? Because your research will be available for everyone, and then the copyright will be belong to you, the author. And of course, if it is open access, everyone can read your paper, can read your research, can cite your research, as well as your visibility will be broader. Yeah. But if you don't have any funding, then you can find subscription-based journal. So in those journal, you don't need to pay any publication fee. Yeah.
And also,
Okay, the
I
next,
want to
yeah.
I want to add another question, another answer also. And in case if we don't have any money to publish our paper, I think we can find the collaboration. As there are many friends like who did the same thing. For example, like the people who become a first author, then they have a funding, then they pay for you. Maybe you can the second author. So I think collaboration is one of the option also. So that's why I really suggest to the graduate student in Indonesia, try to find your friends or your the people that who you know in another country, then you can collaborate with them. That is one of the good option also. Thank
Yes,
you.
right. Yeah, I agree with Miss Fana. Yeah, he is very clever and interesting in this case. Yeah. If you that her suggestion is very right. I mean, you can find the collaborators, such as you can find a professor or researchers from other countries, and if you are lucky, maybe they can support your publication. And as you know that in my experience, actually I have many invitation for Scopus Journal, and this Scopus Journal is actually open access, and they give me free of charge. But I couldn't take it because Scopus Journal is not counted in my university. So yeah, I just leave it as it is, and nobody will use it. But if you have any paper that want to publish in Scopus and I have the invitation, maybe I will pass the invitation to you if you want. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. And this question may be focusing on Miss Fana. The question was how to find our root cause of weakness when doing presentation and find a solution so our presentation will be interesting to be heard by the audience.
Okay, thank you for the question. First, I practice also because, as you know, I finished my undergraduate in Indonesia, not in another country. So when I did my study abroad for the first time, then everything is I should learn everything is from zero. So the things that I made at the time is I practice by write everything. I mean, like what kind of the research question that you have in your work, and then even you can show your PPT, or even you can tell your idea to your friend, and then your friend will comment you and give some suggestion. Or even when your friend asks you something, then you need to write everything one by one, and then read again, and then after you think, oh, this is not important, okay, then I will put this part, and this part, oh, this is important. When you practice more, read again, then you will feel, oh, which part is important, and or which part is not important. And to find your weakness, and also you can show to your closest friend also, you try to present in front of them, and then they will give you some suggestion. Okay, your words is too fast, your voice is too slowly, or everything. So practice is the important one for us, especially for the graduate student. And try also to watch some video. I think in this time there are many video about like how to there are many video like when some people or some researcher give their presentation. So everything is from your practice, and then ask around you, and then try to write one by one. Yeah, that's it. That is my experience.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Fana. And this time, focusing for Mr. Shafruddin, the audience asked about how preview an international journal, or maybe the question means maybe how to become a reviewer and the journey to review the paper or something like that.
Okay. Very nice question. Thank you very much. Yeah. How to be a reviewer, right? Maybe if I'm
Yeah.
I'm correct. Yeah, I'm correctly suggested the question. Okay. How to be a reviewer? So yeah, first thing is you have to publish your work, right? You have to publish your research, and then when someone found that your research is interesting, I mean, and then related with other submitted researches, maybe the editor will check your paper, and if your paper is matched with the submitted paper in those journal, those editor will contact you through email. So the first thing is like that. So the first thing you need to publish and get the visibility. I mean, increase your visibility, such as you can create the Google Scholar, and you can create the research kit, or what else? And some journal also open for a reviewer or call for reviewer, so you can apply if you want. I mean, but most of my experience, usually editor will contact me. I mean, whether I am available for reviewer, and because I never apply for the reviewer because yeah, it takes some time to be a reviewer. So usually the editor will approach me based on the paper that I already published. And yeah, if those paper is related with the submitted paper in the journal, yeah, they will contact you. And if you are as a reviewer, you have to read the paper from top to the bottom, and then you have to check the journal guideline regarding reviewer, right? So usually the journal provides some guideline whether this paper is related with the journal or no, whether the figure and reference and tables are as outlined in the author guideline or no. You can also give some comment based on those, and more specifically you can give the comment for the paper or research paper that currently you are reviewing is based on the contents, right? Based on your expertise. For example, if your expertise in healthcare, you have to give some opinion whether this research is actually giving some added value or giving some real implication or application. You can suggest your comment and feedback in this case. And mostly as my experience, usually I give a positive comment. I mean, I didn't reject the paper based on the language. So usually I just give the improvement, right? I mean, giving the chance to the researcher to improve their presentation, to add some additional representation or figures, something like that. And of course, also to give or to show the contribution. I mean, to describe more clearly what is the problem and what is the result in the research. So I hope it's answered the question.
Oh, I think I can add
Okay.
the answer more also, because my experience also, as Mr. Safridin said, some usually the reviewer get invitation from the journal, but in case you don't get any invitation, then you can find in, I think you can find in any journal, or just type in the internet. Maybe there is calling paper, like they call you to write the review. But the things that you must do is you should practice first, like how to give the review paper. For example, whenever you read some paper, then you need to put in, maybe it will help you, as I did. So I make in the PowerPoint, like, oh, this paper, the title of the paper, and then what is the method, and what is the advantage of this paper, and what is the weakness of this paper, and then which paper is published and what year. And whenever you read the paper, do the same thing. And then in the same topic, when you already finished all the paper and you realize there are many paper that you have read, then you start to write something. Just started to write something. And then when you find the calling paper for the reviewer, then you can publish, then you can register your paper to them. So that is the best option also. I know that it's not all the university or not all the country who have a high technology equipment. So reviewer is one of the best option for you to publish your paper. But as I say, practice yourself, read paper, write, and yeah, practice yourself. I think that's all. You can do the same thing also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. Maybe last question from Gede Aditra Pratnyana. Okay, sorry, Gede, if I'm mistaken. Several journals provide a fast-track review facilities. It is safe to use that, or maybe there is indicator of predatory or non-reputable journal. How to overcome that? Ms. Fana or Mr. Shafruddin?
I think Mr. Faridin can answer first.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Me, in my experience, I mean, most of the open access journal usually they have a fast track. I mean, not they didn't offer, but usually open access journal is fast track journal. I mean, you don't need to pay more fee if you want to have fast track. The indication of predatory journal, the indication is like usually they are not indexed in Scopus or Web of Science usually. So as I mentioned in the PPT, you have to check the credibility of the journal from many checklists from the website that I have shared before. Check I guess think, check, and submit.org maybe. Yeah, you have to check whether the journal is indexed by credible database such as Scopus or Web of Science. If those journal is not indexed by those two, probably they are actually a predatory journal. Yeah. If it is just only indexed by Google Scholar, usually, sorry to say that, usually from yeah, from other country, maybe you might notice that you will get email from them to submit your paper in 1 or 2 days, you will get published. So those journal is really, you know, I should say that, yeah, this is not credible. So you shouldn't submit your research work into those journal. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Miss Fana will add some answer.
Yeah. As my experience also in Korea or in my university itself, actually they don't accept Scopus, so I cannot write. Yeah, they accept the international one, SCI and SCI. So I think before you publish your paper, you should check one by one which journal is like give a fast track or not, or is it I mean, you can get from the Mr. Safaruddin. You can check whether that journal is predator or not. And also, one thing that I want to say also, because now I have a lot of kind of data, like small data, but because my university and my professor itself, they asked me to publish in high rank journal. So if you have a collaboration with me, maybe I can give you some we can share some data also, and then we can publish in Scopus. Yeah, because Scopus is also accepted in Indonesia. So that's it. So and also try to share with your friends also. I mean, if you have a friend in another country, especially for the student who are study in the Korea, usually they are more familiar with the how to publish and then which journal is related to the predator or no, then you can share or you can discuss with them also. That is one of the big option, because in this world, in this internet era, there are many journal that sometimes I never heard about that journal, but some of my friends in Indonesia, they publish on that journal. So you can share, and then you can ask your friend also in another country. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Fana and Mr. Shafuddin, for the answer, for the time, and for the material. And it's a wrap. Thank you so much, the audience. We reached the end of our session. And before that, we will make a documentation, so everybody will open the cameras.
Maaf
Oke.
Ibu, kami masih ada satu sesi slides lagi untuk recognition.
Oh, oke.
Iya, mungkin
Oke,
kembali ke MC
kalau
dulu.
begitu, saya kembalikan ke MC.
Thank you very much for Doctor of Engineering. Thank you very much for Doctor of Engineering Muhammad Syafruddin and Mrs. Fana Krismasilalahi, MSc, PhD candidate, for the inspiring lecture today. And thank you, Mrs. Santi Frestikauli, STMV, for conducting this amazing session. Please give applause for our inspiring speaker and amazing moderator by using the Zoom action feature for today's empowering session. As a token of appreciation, I would like to present a certificate for our honorable speaker and moderator. So this is the certificate for Doctor of Engineering Muhammad Syafruddin and Mrs. Hana Krismasilalahi, MSc, PhD candidate, as our gratitude for today's session. Thank you very much, Professor, for your availability today in providing the lecture session on getting published and presentation skill. For the next certificate, will be presented for Mrs. Santi Frestikauli, STMP, for being our moderator today. Before we part, I would like to thank all participants who took part in the entire series of R2SEP event. We hope this event can be useful for your future research. Before we end today's session, we would like to invite you all participants along with the speaker and moderator to take a group photo. So all participants, please turn on your camera. I will make the countdown. Be ready. Put your best smile. And I will take the picture. Keep smiling. Okay, thank you. Now that we have finished the group photo, I would like to remind all participants to fill the feedback form provided in the Zoom chat. The participant who will get stamp for it is the participant who comes on time during this event until the end. And also fill the feedback form. For participants who do not take part in just one session and still want a certificate, please register to additional asynchronous session provided in the Zoom chat room. Finally, we have reached the end of today's R2SEP, and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience during the session from me as the Master of Ceremony and the committees. Once again, thank you everyone for joining this session. Thank you, the speaker and the moderator, for the inspiring session. Good evening, stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, ITS.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bu Fana,
Thank you.
Pak Syafruddin,
thank
dan
you.
Bu
Thank you.
Santi.
Yeah, if you want come to
Much.
Korea, just contact me.
Thank you, everyone. Izin
Thank you.
leave.